Today is the Steelers Talk Mailbag, where I answer your questions on the black and gold. But before I answer your questions, make sure you guys click that subscribe button, because we do these mailbags every single week on the Steelers Talk live show every single Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you guys have a chance to voice your opinions, to voice your ideas, to ask your questions right here on the mailbag. We try to be the most interactive Steelers YouTube community here on the platform. And all you have to do to join is click that subscribe button. It's 100% free. And then join us on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, for our live shows where you can get your questions on the show. So without further ado here, I'll pause and open up for questions. $5 super chat here from Omar's Burner. He says, is there any way the Steelers could trade Alex Highsmith this offseason? The pros of having a guy like TJ is not needing to pay someone top 10 money. Listen, man, they love having a great edge rusher duo. They love that duo. They love Alex because, something you have to realize with the Steelers defense, okay, is that they are one of the only teams in the National Football League right now that run a true 3-4 defense, all right? So what that means, 3 down linemen, and then you got TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith as outside linebackers. So what you'll see on the Steelers film is they'll send TJ out in coverage from time to time. Same thing with Alex. They need these outside linebackers, especially the every down guys, to be great run defenders, to be great pass rushers, and then also to hold their own in coverage. And both TJ and Alex do this better than just about anybody in the National Football League. So both of these guys are very key guys in this defense, and that's why they both are making top dollar in the National Football League. Then we got one from Chase Talk Steelers, and he says, do you think Russell Wilson makes the Steelers a Super Bowl contender? I know we probably won't get him, but just asking because of the rumors. So to answer your question, Chase, I think it gives the Steelers the best possible chance, all right? And the reason why I say that is because he's the most affordable option. You can get him for the vet minimum because of an offset clause with his contract there in Denver. So you can get him for $1.2 million against your cap, and Russ still gets paid like $39 million next year, most of that from Denver. And then also, I still think he's got it. You look at the numbers between him and Kirk Cousins, a guy that many Steelers fans would be willing to give up $35 million a year for. They're pretty similar, all right? So narrative is a powerful thing. I think Russell Wilson is somebody that's been shafted by the narrative in the National Football League, and I still think he's a good quarterback. And also, another thing you have to keep in mind, top 10 in fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history, top 10 in game-winning drives in NFL history. He's done it in the playoffs, tons of playoff experience, and he's a Super Bowl champion who's played in the game twice. If you're going to beat Mahomes, if you're going to beat Allen, if you're going to beat the guys with playoff experience, you need somebody that has played in that big game. And listen, you got a great defense. You got a good run game. You got good weapons. I don't think you need a Mahomes-level talent to beat Mahomes in the playoffs if you got somebody that's clutch like Russell Wilson. So for me, I think Russell Wilson gives the Steelers the best chance at a Super Bowl. I wouldn't take them over the Chiefs just because it's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But, man, I think it gives the Steelers the best overall chance. Then we got one from Real Grinder here, man. And he says, what are your thoughts on potentially trading for Brandon Aiyuk this offseason? We covered this on last week's mailbag. And personally, guys, I don't think it's ever going to happen because Diontae Johnson is on the roster right now. It's a very similar type of receiver. And if you don't want Diontae Johnson on the roster and you're going to trade him, why would you bring in somebody that's pretty much a carbon copy of him in Brandon Aiyuk? I mean, Aiyuk is a slightly better option in terms of run blocking, but man, I really do not think that he is the guy to replace Diontae Johnson in this wide receiver room, and he'd be too expensive to get in terms of draft capital to trade for him. Then we got one from new Gold Club member here, Kyle King, and he says, do you think we may trade back in round 1 if we keep that pick to recoup for the pick if we do a Fields trade? If you do trade back, who would you take? Well, it really does depend on how far you're trading back and who's available. So it's really hard to answer that question, Kyle. But to kind of give you the best possible answer that I can give you is I don't think it's going to cost a first rounder to get Justin Fields. And I don't think the Steelers are willing to give that up. So they will have that pick. Now, let's say they trade their second round pick for Justin Fields. Would they trade down? Potentially, all right? I think if they have their sights on a really good corner or a really good center or a really good offensive tackle, they'll probably pull the trigger. But, if they feel like they can get more value by trading down, absolutely. Trading down is an opportunity for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially if you've already taken care of tackle, center, and corner in free agency. So if you're good in all those areas, absolutely trade down. I think that'd be a good value for this team. Now let me know down there in the comment section, should the Steelers trade back in round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time and let me know if the Steelers should trade back in round 1. Then we got one from Pickens14 Goat, and he says, if Juju or Claypool gets cut, you take one of them back as a cheap wide receiver 3. Juju, I don't think is going to get cut. If he does, he's the type of slot guy that Tomlin likes. So if you get him on a team-friendly deal, maybe. But Chase Claypool, no freaking way in hell, man. That guy should just go model in Paris because that's really what he wants to do, all right? He doesn't love football. He's an airhead in my opinion. I don't want him on this team anymore. There's a reason why he traded him away. Juju I'd think about for the right price, but Claypool, no way. Then we got one from Purs, and he says, do you think it's worth trying to get Mike Evans if he doesn't get re-signed or franchise tagged? So if Diontae Johnson is still on the team, then no. But if you trade Diontae Johnson, that creates $10 million in additional cap space for next year, and then something potentially makes sense. But, the position that Evans plays is the same position that George Pickens plays, the X-receiver. So, how does that all get worked out? I'm not too sure. It'd definitely be interesting. I love Mike Evans as a player. He's super productive every single year, one of the most consistent players in the league. But personally, I'm not too sure if this is a realistic possibility. Now, let me know down there in the comment section, which free agent wide receiver do you want to see with the black and gold in 2024? Do you want to see T. Higgins? Do you want to see Mike Evans? Do you want to see Michael Pittman Jr., maybe Tyler Boyd? Let me know down there in the comment section, which free agent wide receiver do you want the Steelers to add this offseason? And you know what? We got questions coming up here in just a little bit. But first, I want to tell you about a great deal from our friends at Fanatics on this awesome TJ Watt t-shirt right now. And let me tell you guys, the best version of TJ Watt is when he gets snubbed from a Defensive Player of the Year trophy. The last time he was snubbed of a DPOY trophy he should have gotten, the guy freaking broke the sack record the next year in the National Football League. So if he did it once, who knows what's going to happen in 2024. You're going to be wanting to rep TJ Watt's name across your chest next year for 2024. To make sure that happens, go to chatsports.com/TJ. Fanatics has an awesome sale going on during the offseason here on this t-shirt. So make sure you guys click that link in the comments and description, chatsports.com/TJ, to get a great deal on this TJ Watt t-shirt. Then we got one from Faded Pops, and he says, with AS Arthur Smith, do we need a better fullback? Hayward is a little light. I actually don't think Hayward's a light for a fullback. I think he's actually the perfect height and weight for a fullback. He's kind of stockier. He's not quite as tall. Now, if anything, I think he needs to lose a little bit of weight, going from a tight end to a fullback. But honestly, man, I think Hayward would be an awesome fullback in this offense. I think he'd be a great receiver from that position. And, man, at the end of the day, I love little Hayward and the versatility that he brings. Didn't really work out at the tight end position last year, but I think Arthur Smith bringing in this 2 running back type system would be absolutely fantastic for his future in this league. Then we got one from Kian Larkin. It says, what if the Steelers trade for Trey Lance? Trey Lance was the number 3 quarterback on the Cowboys last year, man. He stinks. No way, all right? I put this one in the same category as the Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones, and Desmond Ridder category, where it's like, why would we do this? All right, we're going to move on from Kenny Pickett, who is a defective first-round quarterback, to Trey Lance, another defective first-round quarterback. This guy couldn't even thrive in San Francisco's offense. All right, the same offense that people are saying Brock Purdy is a fraud for being in because it's so damn good. This guy couldn't even get the job done in that offense. So I don't want to hear anything about Trey Lance. I appreciate the question, Kian, but Trey Lance, definitely not a possibility in my mind. Then we got one from Tom Upney, and he says, what is the latest on Cory Trice Jr.? can he be relied on to be a starter for us in 2024? He can't be relied on, all right? And the reason why I say that is because of the injury history to his knee, and we don't know if he's going to have the same level of speed with that ACL tear that he's coming off of course, last year in the preseason. So listen, does he have the potential to be a starter someday? 100%. He's big. He's physical. He was fast before his knee injury, but these kinds of injuries, man, they can significantly impact the ability to sprint and to run and to accelerate. So it's going to be interesting to see what Cory Trice Jr. looks like heading into next year. But you got to remember, man, like he's a 7th-round pick, and you can't really rely on someone coming off an ACL tear like that after just being drafted in the 7th round to be there for you as a bona fide starter. Now, he could surprise you and really be a good starter for you, but you can't rely on it. You have to address the position with someone else as well this offseason. So will Cory Trice Jr. earn a starting job at some point with the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it be next year, in the future, whenever? Do you think Cory Trice Jr. will be a starter with the black and gold at some point during his career? Simply give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section to let me know what you guys think. Then we got one from John here, and he says, what do you think on the idea of bringing Kenny Moore out of free agency? Mike Tomlin has always praised him. And listen, man, I've had Kenny Moore on my offseason plans here on the channel, both of them. I think that he is an excellent fit with this culture. I think he's got the versatility that you're looking for because he can play inside and outside. So let's say Cory Trice Jr. really shows out in camp next year, and he earns a starting spot. Then he could put Kenny Moore in the slot. Or if you draft a corner early on the outside in round 1, like a Quinion Mitchell or a Nate Wiggins, something like that, you can put them on the outside. Kenny Moore can play the slot. I like that versatility there, and he's not as expensive as guys like L'Jarius Sneed, Jalen Johnson if he's made available. I love the fit with Kenny Moore, and I'd love to see him as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Good question, John. Then we got one from Jonathan Quinn, 2 Johns in a row here. Says, what do you think about Jordan Travis? I think Travis is interesting because he's got the physical tools in terms of arm strength, in terms of mobility, in terms of playmaking. I like all that stuff, all right? But the mental processing, the nuances of the game, the pocket presence, accuracy, these things concern me with Jordan Travis. Not to mention he's coming off a major injury to his lower half, and we just don't know how his mobility is going to be affected moving forward. So it's definitely a risk, but it's something that I'd probably be willing to spend a 5th-round pick on if he's there in the 5th round, but probably nothing more than that. Then we got one from Just Webb's World 1, $10 super chat here. He says, I've seen a lot of centers in the draft, but the cornerback class has guys, but they are night and day, and it's looking like Kool-Aid can fall. Also, your thoughts on James Williams? He could play that hybrid inside linebacker and safety. So I haven't gotten to James Williams' tape yet. I just haven't. So I'll let you know what I think about him when I get there. Definitely an interesting prospect, though, based on the things that I've seen. Then you got Kool-Aid McKinstry. Definitely an interesting prospect as well. I don't know if he's going to fall. We'll have to see on that. Very interesting. I just don't know Just Webb's World. It's going to be definitely interesting to see what's going on here, but we'll definitely get more into these lower-level prospects here as we get things going. So that'll be it for this week's mailbag. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button and join us for our live shows every single Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get your questions on Steelers Talk Live next week.